Hi guys, I am back with some tips on homework this week and what we're learning in class. So that first week of school and this second week of school and in the next couple weeks of school, one of the focal points of our learning is going to be handwriting. And this is actually a really essential skill to reading. Studies show that there's a pretty strong correlation between how nice your handwriting is and how well you read. And it's because kids that learn to form letters correctly recognize the letters in print better, and then they learn to read them better. Imagine that. So, this is a really good skill for your kids to be learning the first couple weeks of school. We do a lot of it in class, and I want to show you the terminology and the methods that I use so that you can understand it, you can implement it at home. All of the homework that I send home is very well scripted so that basically if you read the directions to your child, you'll be saying exactly what I would say to them in class. But I want to show you the fundamentals of my method right now so that it's more clear. Let's just go with that. So here are some letters. We have a capital letter, a lowercase letter. We're going to start by learning all the lowercase letters because this is what we use to read. We don't really read in capital letters unless someone is really angry at you, right? And that's not happening in kindergarten. No one's angry here. Anyway, so this is a tall letter. This is a short letter. Your kids can identify these. The difference between a tall letter and a short letter is merely where they reach, right? So even a lowercase letter can be a tall letter. It's because it's approaching this top line, and all letters sit on the baseline. So your kids have learned about top line, baseline. Well, what makes a short letter a short letter? A short letter is one that reaches this imaginary line in the middle that we call the midpoint. Those are the words that I use. I use top line, baseline, midpoint. So you'll see those kinds of words on the directions for your homework. We start by learning basic formations, tall lines that approach the top and pull straight down to the baseline. I don't know if I did that well because I'm sideways. Let me do that well. Approach the top and pull a straight line down to the baseline. Short lines that start at the midpoint and pull straight down to the baseline. You notice that I always pull because it's easier physically to do, and so you're going to get a more reliable result every time, not to mention your hands won't get as tired. That's just physics. So pulling motions for lines. The other important formation that we are learning is the circle. And sometimes I refer to this as the A-O-U because that's the letter and the sounds that it correlates with. So this is kind of the important part. We use a clock to learn letter formations in my class. Your kids know where the numbers are, and they know that the magical number is 2 on the clock. This is where we start round formations. Any round formations like an O, an A G, etc., 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 are going to start at 2 on the clock, go up and around the clock this way, touch the baseline, there you hear that word baseline, and go back up to 2. That's how we do the O. We start at 2 because it's more efficient for our hands, and learning to connect circles at 2 is a lot more conducive to learning cursive later, which you may have different feelings about cursive than I do, but regardless, it's going to help them, and they're going to have consistently nice handwriting. So we start at 2 on the clock, go up and around the clock, touch the baseline, go back to 2. And even sideways, it's pretty easy for me to get a pretty round O. Even better if I'm looking at it properly, right? And your kids will be able to do this very consistently. Those are the basic formations. So when you see in your directions, start at 2 on the clock, that's what I mean. The other thing about 2 on the clock is that it is actually a bit below the baseline because 12 on the clock is going to be, it's a bit below the midpoint because 12 on the clock is the midpoint ideally. So there you go. You'll have some homework this week about making these basic formations and about making letters with those basic formations. Yeah, jump on in.